My name is Devon Russel. I was born and raised in Kitchener. I'm an anti-poverty activist here in Kitchener-Waterloo, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my experiences and my opinions living in this city. Right behind us is it's a rooming house I used to live in. Now a little bit about myself. I was raised in the system, whatever you want to call it, children's aid, group homes, single bedroom apartments. It was all we could afford. It was, poverty struck us. Circumstance, maybe addiction, mental illnesses, alcoholism, Anyways, just a little bit about myself. One of these places I lived in while in active addiction was that red house right over there. And unfortunately, while living there, I was battling an addiction. I used to be a raging heroin addict. I'm not proud of it, but I've gone and got myself some help, and I'm glad I'm in recovery. One of my turning points was in that place. I used to have a landlord there who owns many properties and helps keep people sick. My friend died in that house. Other people I know have died in that house. And if I didn't get out of there, I probably would have died too. I feel very lucky. I feel very grateful that I made it out of there. I currently reside in another rooming house of sorts. And as you can probably see, it's right behind me here. This is my rooming house. Now, it's not considered technically a rooming house. They classify it as an RTA, residential tenancy agreement, which helps me out a little bit with my legal rights as a tenant. It's not ideal. I mean, it's quite expensive. Considering I'm currently on social assistance, it doesn't leave me with a lot of money at the end of the month for my own food, for my own personal need products. Thankfully, I do know about quite a few resources in my city that help me get by. What I'd like to do with you today is take a walk around town. I'm going to point out a few things that have changed over the last 5 years. A lot of displacement, a lot of lack of affordable housing, and in my opinion, how I feel like they're pushing the poor people out of the downtown core. And so we'll go take a walk now. We're down on King Street and Cedar Street in Kitchener, Ontario, the downtown core. I think this is where our journey will begin as we talk about the lack of affordable housing and the changes that have happened in the last 5 years in my city. As we walk up the street here, there was once a bar, a sports bar. It's called Marino's, and Marino's burnt down. Now above Marino's there used to be affordable housing. If you want any form of social assistance, financial assistance, you worked a part-time job, you could afford to live there. Unfortunately, since the place is burnt down, it's just a vacant plot. They've done nothing with it. I've heard no plans to redevelop it into affordable housing, and for a couple years now, we just have this vacant plot here. And they're not doing anything with it. When they could be, in my opinion, building up affordable housing, maybe a 3-story walk-up, but from what I've seen in my city and what you're going to see through the next few minutes of walking down this one street in our downtown core is that they are redeveloping all the old buildings, all the buildings that got burnt down, all the buildings that have been demolished, and they're turning them into expensive condominiums that nobody on any form of Ontario Works or ODSP or a part-time job or hell, even a full-time job, unless you're making really good money, you're not going to be able to afford to live in these places. And it's a shame. And again, it just goes to show me that they are pushing the people with a lack of funds and a lack of resources out of downtown where most of their resources are. This is the beautiful empty lot. Again, it used to hold a bar with apartments above it, and now there's nothing. And it's a crying shame, because this could be a 3-story walk-up easily. It can house a whole bunch of people, single mothers, It's just one of our stops along the way. All right, across the street from us here is Hong Kong Plaza. It's on King Street as well, the main strip. Now, the Hong Kong Plaza, for many years, had a bunch of different apartments in here. It was a gym at one point in time. There's actually a track in the basement. Not sure if it's still there, but anyways, affordable housing. There was quite a bit of it up here. And now there's not. Another interesting experience, actually, I had in this very parking lot And I'll talk just a bit about the opiate epidemic that's going on in our city right now, going on in our country, our world. You know, again, it's one of the reasons we're fighting here in Kitchener for a safe consumption site, because it is an epidemic. People's lives are on the line, people are dying. And not a lot of statistics are there for what's happened since the last 5 years, but people have been dying. I know scores of people who have died here in my city, and it's a shame. They shouldn't have to. A lot of people might have their own opinions, like you're enabling people or whatnot, but hey, if you're offering people recovery options in a safe way out, it's better than them dying on the streets. In that parking lot, I experienced my friend overdosing, and when a man walked by with a cell phone, I asked him to call 911. He asked why. Didn't say he was going to call 911, and he did not. And he kept going until I found someone else, because I didn't have, first of all, change on me, let alone a cell phone, nor did I want to leave my friend who wasn't breathing to run all the way down the street to that payphone we just looked at. Again, if there was a payphone here and maybe I could have dialed 911, I would have. But I had to stay with my friend. And thankfully, the bystander eventually came along to help, and they got the medical attention they needed. Again, lack of affordable housing. All right, that's it for that. We're now on Queen Street and we're approaching Roof, also known as One Roof. Roof stands for Reaching Our Outdoor Friends. This is a place I used to frequent as a teenager. The age range is, I believe, anywhere from 13 and the cutoff is 25 years. Anyone, a youth at risk, is allowed to access it. They have resources there, computers, they have showers, they have laundry machines, they have a place where you can get a bite to eat. They even make you clean up a little to earn your keep. So it's a nice place. They have outreach workers, they have nurses, they have therapists, and most recently, in the past few years, they finally implemented an overnight program where youth at risk on the street do not have to go stay in shelters with older men and women, and they can actually stay here with youth. Make them feel more comfortable, make them have a little bit of peace of mind. Unfortunately, that option did not exist when I was a teenager. I had to stay at the House of Friendship for Men. Though it's a great resource, it's wonderful that it's here, though I've been told that unfortunately the building is going to be moved. The building's being bought, the property's being bought. I don't know where it's going to be moved to. My worry is that Roof, or One Roof, is going to be moved out of the downtown core. It's going to be inaccessible to youth on the street, and it's going to make it harder for them to access resources to help better their lives. We're now here in Victoria Park, Kitchener, near the downtown core, where every year, almost every year, we organize and hold Tent City. Now, in conclusion to what I talked about earlier in regards to lack of affordable housing, well, if you take a good look around here, this is our affordable housing. You know, Tent City organizes every year to raise awareness, first of all, that there is an issue in our city. At any given time in Kitchener-Waterloo, there are up to 3,000 people without homes. 3,000. Kitchener is the seventh most expensive city in Canada. Last year, rental rates went up 16%. This is our solace. This is where we want to stand and fight. This is where we want to raise our awareness. And it's not just the issue of lack of affordable housing. There's an issue with social services, not enough funding. A lot of programs have been taken away, such as the first and last month's rent. The Lutheran Housing Service does offer such programs, but you have to meet certain expectations, which aren't always easy to meet. Another issue is the drug issue, our opiate epidemic here in the city. We want a safe consumption site. We want lives that are on the line to be saved. We don't want to see people dying in the streets. There's a lot of issues within the city of Kitchener. And it all comes back to this. It all comes back to this. I mean, we need help. Where's the money going to come from? Where's the funding? Who's going to help us? Those are the questions that need to be asked and the questions that need to be answered.